Welcome to Revenue Growth Live with Daryl Amy. You're about to join an interactive forum where business executives, sales professionals, and marketing leaders share ideas to accelerate growth. While you are here, make sure to like or subscribe to get notifications for future episodes. You're encouraged to get involved in today's live conversation by liking and commenting. Now, let's join Daryl Amy for fresh ideas and innovative strategies to help you grow your business faster.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Revenue Growth Live. Today, my name is Daryl Amy. I'm a growth architect, helping generous individuals and companies grow so they can give. And I'm so excited about the ideas that I have to share with you today on building trust on a principle that I learned years and years ago from one of my favorite thought leaders, Jay Abraham. And so I'm excited to share that today. We're going to have a very practical discussion. And if you're here live, welcome. Glad you're here. Give us a shout out in the comments. Love to interact with you as we move through this conversation today. The whole point of Revenue Growth Live is simple. I get to talk with business owners, sales leaders, marketing managers. I read a ton of books. I speak at conferences, and I'm always coming up with ideas. And I want to share ideas with all of you to help us together make sure that we're able to finish strong in 2021 or 2020 and head into 2021 so that we can drive and thrive in what really is going to be a make or break year for most businesses. So I want you to finish strong. I want you to head into 2021 with a plan so we can execute well in 2021 and grow. So if you've joined us live, we're glad you're here. Give a shout out in the comments. Love to make this very interactive. And if you're watching later, definitely chime in. Would love to share. Ray, good morning to you. It's great to see you. I want to share a strategy this morning that has been extremely powerful to me in both my sales career, and I believe it's defined my marketing career as well. And it's how to build trust. But as we get started, I do want to give another quick shout out, actually a huge thank you to Douglas Burdett over at the Marketing Book Podcast. I had the opportunity to be on his show. And probably what was great, in addition to just the incredible conversation we got to have, and I just put the show link in the notes, you definitely want to join. If you're not already a subscriber to the Marketing Book Podcast, you definitely want to join the over 90,000 sales and marketing professionals that listen to that around the world. But what I loved about being on that podcast was not just the conversation, but I also got to see myself next to one of my heroes, because this week's episode, the following episode, or I guess the one that was right before, is right next to the conversation I got to have with Douglas Burdett, was with one of my all-time heroes, Seth Godin. So it was a trip to see the Revenue Growth Engine and Seth Godin right there on the same page. It was a great moment in time. It was a really cool moment. But hey, what I want to do today is I want to share with you a strategy to build trust. And this is going to work well for you, whether you are in sales, which, by the way, who isn't in sales? We're all in sales. Or you work in marketing. And it's from one of my favorite all-time thought leaders, Jay Abraham. And Jay wrote this book, and if you can see this book, like, I've had this book so long, the pages are grayed out, they're dog-eared, underlined. And one of the things I learned from Jay Abraham that was incredibly powerful is what he calls his strategy of preeminence. His strategy of preeminence. And the strategy of preeminence says, I want to be seen as the most trusted advisor in my space. I want to be seen as the go-to company and or person when it comes to the specific topic or topics that I specialize in. You may not be able to work with me. You may not be able to afford the budget-wise to work with me, but I want to be your number one choice. And isn't that the position that all of us really want to have when it comes to our businesses? Whether you're a sales professional and you're in a highly competitive marketplace, you want to be seen as the preeminent best choice. And if you're a marketing professional or own a company, you want to make sure that your company is positioned as a preeminent best choice. So how do you attain preeminence? What a great word, by the way. Word of the day, preeminence. How do you achieve a strategy of preeminence. Well, Jay Abraham uses a model for this. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. I'm going to share my iPad / whiteboard. And I want to share with you the strategy of preeminence. And basically, to set this up, what's the number one commodity that we need as the currency? It's not a commodity. I think this is the currency of business now, is trust. You know, the word of the year in 2018 was post-trust. We live in a post-trust economy with all of the craziness going on over the last couple of years in the news and with the social networks and all this stuff. And just, you know, quite frankly, the low level of trust that we've had in the sales and marketing profession just all along, because of, you know, shady people and false claims. That's not you, but we walk into environments where there's a low level of trust. So how do we build trust? Well, the strategy of preeminence says this: before someone meets you, this is the amount of knowledge that they have on the topic of whatever that you specialize in. In my case, revenue growth. Could be in workflow automation, could be in financial services, could be, you just insert whatever area of specialty. Now, let's say this body of knowledge right here, this represents the total amount that your prospect or client knows about that topic. And let's say that's the size of a basketball. As they, let's say volleyball, we'll go smaller. So as you educate them, their body of knowledge grows. How do you educate them? Well, salespeople, you're always educating prospects and clients in meetings, through social, through email, in your conversations. Marketing, I hope you're educating clients, because that is the core of the strategy preeminence, is what can we do to educate and add value. Now, as you educate, the total body of knowledge that prospect or client has about a topic grows to, say, from a volleyball to, now let's go basketball size. We've grown the body of knowledge. Here's the paradox of this. And Jay Abraham calls this the paradox of knowledge. And this is a beautiful thing. The paradox of knowledge is this: have you ever noticed that the more you know about something, the more questions you have? Like, have you ever gone to a seminar or a class and or a training, and at the end of the session, you know more, but you actually have more questions than when you walked in? Now, as a learner, you know, maybe that's kind of frustrating sometimes. That's the paradox of knowledge. The more you know about something, the more questions you have. Now, the beautiful thing about that is you can leverage that to grow your business, because the outside area of this volleyball represents the number of questions that your buyer or client had before they were educated. After you educated them, now the outside circumference represents a growing number of questions. So more education, guess what happens? More questions. Now, where do you go to get questions answered? This is the magic of this. Where do you go to get questions answered? You go to the person or company that educated you. So this is the beautiful strategy of preeminence right now. And by the way, as you educate people and as you become the one that, you know, grows their body of knowledge, you actually also earn the ultimate currency, which is trust. And so this is really a beautiful thing, because if you think about, you know, how am I going to go to market? How am I going to earn trust? How am I going to cross-sell more to my existing clients? Well, I would say that it has to do more with a philosophy of education than a mindset of sales. It has more to do with a heart to educate than it does to have the skills of marketing. Now, do you need sales skills and do you need to market? Absolutely. But if you come to the table with a heart to serve and to say, you know what, I want to help my buyers learn more. As you help them learn more, you increase their body of knowledge, which means you increase their education on a topic, and simultaneously you increase the number of questions. And where are they going to go to get those questions answered? They're going to go to the person that educated them 9 times out of 10. Now, this is a really beautiful thing because this has so much application in so many different ways. And by the way, if you just joined us, welcome. We're glad you're here. And if you're watching in later, I'd love for you to share and also subscribe so you get notifications every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific. I'll bring ideas to you to help you grow your business. So the question here this morning, understanding that we want trust, that it is the ultimate currency of business, and knowing that there is a paradox of knowledge. Thanks for letting me scribble on my iPad, by the way. It makes me feel good. And knowing that as we build somebody's knowledge on a specific topic, we actually increase the number of questions. Well, guess what? As you create questions, now you can answer the questions. And that reminds me of another fantastic sales and marketing book, They Ask You Answer, by Marcus Sheridan. And the whole premise of that book is if you want to build trust, you answer questions. Well, I say, sometimes we sit there and we scratch our head and go, well, what questions do we need to answer? I mean, we can brainstorm so many, questions based on our conversations. But here's the deal. As you educate people, they're going to have more and more questions. They'll ask you. So they actually will ask when you educate them. So what we need to begin thinking about as sales and marketing professionals now today is what can we do to educate our clients? Well, the beautiful thing about education right now is there are so many different ways we can educate our clients. I mean, we all know the data that, if you look at Google statistics in any buying situation in B2B, which is where I specialize, or in B2C, the reality is people go where to get educated when they're in the middle of a buying decision. Oh, we all know they go to the answer machine, right? They go to Google. And so part of the strategy to educate your prospects and clients is to make sure you're putting out content that is indexable, searchable, and findable on Google that answers questions. So that's a no-brainer, right? Blog articles, videos, how-to guides, special reports, buyer's guides, ebooks. There's, umpteen ways to put things together and answer questions. So that's one way to educate your clients is during the buying process, provide information to them. That same content, by the way, for the sales folks listening in, as your company and marketing team, and maybe even yourself, you start writing some of this content yourself. Daryl, I'm not a writer. Don't worry about it. There's editors. Write it out. The editors will clean it up and make it look good for you. But now throughout the sales process as well, in your sales sequences, rather than your sales sequences being, spammy, salesy, slimy, all of the catchphrases. I hadn't heard from you in a while. You must be busy, that type of thing. You can make your sales sequences actually full of informative information by leveraging that content that was meant to educate. Now, other ways to educate are obvious as well. Training, like this is an education session. And by the way, I hope that as I expand your body of knowledge, I'm earning your trust in the area of marketing and sales. And because of that, there will be opportunity that I will be a trusted advisor, that I will be, when you think about growing your business, since I've expanded your knowledge and created hopefully some more questions inside this, the strategy of preeminence would say, I want to be, regarded as a trusted advisor for you. So can you do the same thing? Can you do Facebook, LinkedIn Lives? Absolutely. Can you do webinars? Yes. Can you do, can you pre-record things and send them out? Can you record after these live events and after you do a web class or a webinar or a live class? Can you take that content and use it and share it inside the buyer's journey and inside the client journey to continue to educate your clients? Absolutely. You can share it, you can slice it, you can dice it, you can do all kinds of things with it. And the goal is, once again, what we want to do is we want to set this up so that as you become a company that's educating. And by the way, when you become someone that's an educator rather than a pitcher and a seller. I mean, just think of the market positioning there and how great that is compared to, yeah, I mean, I'll give an illustration because I'm actually in the process of looking at used vehicle. I need an extra vehicle for our house, and so the the whole used car thing. Oh my goodness, what a mess! But I met someone yesterday who has a whole lot next to his shop, and he specializes in a certain kind of vehicle. And he spent 10 minutes with me educating me on the vehicle. I learned a whole lot about hybrid electric vehicles yesterday in 10 minutes, more than I knew walking in. And guess what happened? He expanded my knowledge, answered questions, brought up questions I didn't even know to ask, gave me the lowdown, educated me. And as he expanded my knowledge, I had more questions for him and I asked questions back to him. Now, this is a used car salesperson. I mean, you talk about, that's down there with politicians in the trust factor. However, by educating me and taking the time to as a salesperson, educate me on the specific type of the hybrid electric car I was looking at, I'm going to buy a car from this guy. I fully 100% intend to. Why? Because in the process, he earned my trust. And look, I don't have very many used car people I trust, but I trust this guy. And it was just a very simple and powerful thing. So you can educate people. By the way, so you can educate people. There's one of the other great ways to educate people now. We're learning all about online education. So, I mean, what would it look like, if you think about that, the fact that you don't just want to drive net new business, that for most of you listening in right now, the low hanging fruit for your business is cross-selling more to your current clients. Well, what if you could educate your current clients? Could you cross-sell more? What if you could start, say, a client success university or academy using the exact same technology that all of us in the sales leadership and marketing and anyone doing online courses, that same technology, the same technology that backs companies like Revenue Growth Engine, can be used to create online universities where you could educate your clients. And as you educate your clients, you continue to build trust and you start driving and laying the foundation for a cross-sell conversation. So the paradox of knowledge is this: the more you know about a topic, the more questions you have. When someone has questions, where do they go to get those questions answered? The person that educates them. In that, you build trust and you establish what Jay Abraham calls preeminence. So check this book out. This is one of my all-time favorites. Once again, when you read this, it will be underlined, dog-eared. You will get so many ideas from Jay Abraham, and just a fantastic book. But that concept of education to drive trust is something that has been really the bedrock foundation of everything that I've done as a professional in the technology world. And now as I work with companies across all industries, the reality is we got to earn trust. And one of the best ways to earn trust is educate. So if you're a marketing professional or you own a company, I want you to think about how could you educate your prospects? And maybe even more important, how could you educate your clients? And then if you're a sales professional as well, I think you should ask the same question for your territory, for your target accounts. How could you educate your clients? How could you educate your prospects? And what could you put together that would really help them expand their body of knowledge? And in the process, not only do you earn trust, you also earn preeminence, which is really, really powerful. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I've enjoyed talking about one of my very favorite topics. We've got resources available on revenuegrowthengine.net. If you want to just text the word revenue to 21,000, there's a growing toolkit there. And I'd love to hear from you and all of that. And the good news as well is Revenue Growth Engine is now available on Audible. So go to Audible, and if you are someone that likes to listen to books rather than read them and highlight them, or if you like to highlight as you listen, you can get a copy on audible.com. I've got a great interview coming out tomorrow morning on the Revenue Growth Podcast, and it is going to be fantastic. It's with my friend Meredith Elliott Powell. She is one of the premier strategists and business minds out there right now, and I guarantee you're going to want to download my conversation with Meredith Elliott Powell. It comes out tomorrow morning, first thing. Look for the Revenue Growth Podcast on, oh boy, iPhone, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, Deezer, wherever fine podcasts are sold. You should be able to find the Revenue Growth Podcast as well. And so it's been a great day. Last but not least, go check us out. Check out that conversation. I got to say, Douglas Burdett, you definitely picked my brain on all of this. We talked for 90 minutes. So this conversation on the Marketing Book Podcast is going to be it's going to be something that you're probably going to listen to. Like it'll take a whole week of commuting, probably, unless you live in LA, to listen to the whole podcast. But I hope you're going to get a lot out of it, and definitely give a shout out to Douglas Burdett. You want to follow the Marketing Book Podcast because he's doing great work over there. And as always, we'll see you Thursday morning at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific. And until next time, let's get going and let's get growing.